Tonight, the stunning admission from Luigi Mangione, confessing to killing CEO Brian Thompson as he pleads guilty in federal court. Mangione admitting that he shot Mr. Thompson as the late CEO's own family sat in court listening to those chilling words, and new revelations from the 28-year-old, including how he posed as an investor to get details on where Thompson would be. The victim's family flanked with security. So what does it all mean for his New York State trial? Breaking right now, the Army announcing it's temporarily grounding all Apache training flights after that deadly crash, killing 2 soldiers. Roadside shooter, a man carrying a semi-automatic rifle, firing on passing cars at random. Multiple people tonight injured, including a mother and daughter. Plus, Hawaii bracing for a possible historic landfall as Tropical Storm Lala intensifies. Fears over landslides and power outages mounting. Europe's intensifying wildfires, tourists fleeing flames, closing in on beaches in Greece. And new video of the race to rescue the remains of medieval Spanish kings. And striking gold will show you how construction workers discovered $10 million in gold bars and coins as they were laying sewer pipes. Plus, the mystery vacation deal going viral, a Groupon package where you shell out $200 without a clue of where you're going. We hear from travelers who ended up in Paris and others who weren't as lucky. And President Trump speaking for the first time about the poor conditions on the USS Lincoln. The reaction tonight from parents with service members on board. Top story starts right now. Good evening. We begin with that stunning and chilling moment inside a federal courtroom here in New York City. Luigi Mangione confessing to shooting and killing UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, laying out the twisted sequence of events that led up to this instant when he pulled the trigger. The 28-year-old pleading guilty to 2 federal counts of stalking, resulting in death, admitting for the first time, quote, "I shot Mr. Thompson in Manhattan and he died." Mangione made the disturbing confession just steps from the family of his victim. Thompson's wife and mother seen at the courthouse surrounded by security. We're also learning new details about how Mangione planned this brutal crime, posing as an investor in an email to the company so he could get Mr. Thompson's exact location, and revealing he used a 3D printer to make part of the gun that he used to shoot and kill the late CEO outside of that New York City hotel. Today's confession coming after months of legal twists and turns. You can see them here. Multiple charges dismissed, the death penalty dropped. Now the big question that remains, how will today's plea in federal court impact the looming state trial? Our Stephanie Gosk has been on the case from the very beginning. She leads us off.
Tonight, Luigi Mangione is a confessed killer, telling a federal judge he shot UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. In court, Thompson's family, seen outside surrounded by a security detail. His mother and wife became emotional as Mangione, in his own words, described the crime. "I traveled to Manhattan," he said. "I then emailed UnitedHealthcare leadership, posing as an investor at a firm managing over $50 billion in assets." Mangione says they wrote back, telling him the location of the conference Thompson was attending, adding, "I used a 3D printer to make a part of a gun. I shot Mr. Thompson in Manhattan, and he died." Mangione shot Thompson, a husband and father of 2 children, in the back. Today, Mangione showed no remorse for what he did.
This was not a spontaneous act of violence. It was deliberate, calculated, and premeditated.
The judge accepted the 28-year-old's guilty plea on stalking charges. Prosecutors say they are seeking a life sentence. The Thompson family releasing new photos of Brian today and writing, "While nothing will ease the pain of losing him, we are grateful that the federal justice system has held the person responsible for this heinous act accountable." The dramatic hearing drawing hordes of journalists.
This is a wild scene outside the federal courthouse right now. Take a look at how many members of the press on that side of the street, only to be outdone by how many members of the press are on this side of the street.
The defense team says Mangione had battled severe back pain and the healthcare system.
He believed that the system had failed him and destroyed his life.
Federal prosecutors showing little sympathy.
We live in a civilized society governed by the rule of law. We debate, we disagree, we protest. We do not commit murder.
But that is what Luigi Mangione did, a crime that shocked the country and uncovered a torrent of anger towards the health insurance industry, with some even supporting the cold-blooded murder. Today, the police commissioner had her own message.
To those who idolize Luigi Mangione, I say this: violence is not a cause, murder is not a message, and a killer is certainly not a hero.
Stephanie joins us now from outside that courthouse. So, Stephanie, the defense clearly has a strategy here with this guilty plea today. Explain that to our viewers.
Yeah, and it's about the state case, Tom, and they're saying that the state case would effectively be double jeopardy, meaning someone being tried twice for the same crime, and that's why that case should be dismissed. Now, they've put in a motion already. We have yet to hear from the DA, the district attorney here in the city, on how he's going to respond to that. Meanwhile, you also have the sentencing hearing here for the federal case on December 18th, and prosecutors today saying they are going to push for a life sentence, which certainly is something that these charges can carry, and that would mean Mangione would be very unlikely to get a prison at all, Tom.
And then the state trial was supposed to start in just a few weeks in September. Is it looking like that might not happen now?
Yeah, certainly the September 8th date is off the table. It's going to be pushed down the road. They've got to argue this whole double jeopardy issue, and the state judge is going to have to rule on that. But that also, depending on what the state judge rules, that could trigger a set of appeals, and that could take a while. We are definitely not going to be selecting a jury on September 8th. And also there is the possibility that there ends up being no state trial at all, Tom.
Yeah, and then, talk to us about court today, what that was like. I mean, you feel for the Thompson family. You can't forget, at the end of the day, this is about a father, a husband who was shot and killed in cold blood.
Tom, we heard from Brian Thompson's wife in the first day after the murder, but then we didn't really hear at all from the family. Very little, and very little from UnitedHealthcare. And today you had family members, Brian Thompson's mom and his wife, in that courtroom today, facing off with a man who stood up and confessed to killing Brian Thompson, and then laid out in very cold-hearted detail exactly how he did it, showing no remorse at all. And people who are in the court said at times it was very emotional for the family members. The wife at times was seen crying. She was wiping her eyes when she walked out. You can only imagine how intense that would be. It's nearly impossible to put yourself in their shoes, but a very dramatic and difficult scene for them for sure, Tom.
Yeah, you can imagine, and it's still really not over for them just yet. Stephanie Gosk for us at the courthouse. Stephanie, thank you. Now to the breaking news from the U.S. military tonight. The Army announcing it's grounding their fleet of Apache helicopters from training flights. This after that deadly crash in Texas, you may remember, earlier this week, which killed 2 soldiers who were on board. NBC's Ryan Noble tonight has been following these developments from Washington tonight. And Ryan, this is a big deal. What more do we know about the Army's decision?
Yeah, Tom, it is a big deal, although it's probably not unexpected. The Army calls it a temporary stand down of all Apache helicopter training flights. They say, quote, it will remain in effect until we have a better understanding of the root cause of the accident. They are looking back into that deadly crash that happened during a training exercise at Fort Hood, Texas. It ended up sparking a massive fire. The Apache attack helicopters are widely used by the Army, and they're usually flown by 2 crew members. The Army calls it the most advanced aerial fighting vehicle in the world. So this is something that the Army needs to figure out exactly what went wrong. Was it a mechanical issue? Was it a training issue? They don't have the answers to those questions quite yet. So until they get those answers, they're just going to ground the entire fleet just to keep all of those soldiers safe. Tom.
Yeah, you want to keep those soldiers safe. We're also learning about the crew that was killed in the accident on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right. The pilots have been identified as Chief Warrant Officer 2 DeAndre T. Huey and Warrant Officer Seth Olmstead. We're told that both of these young men were from Texas, Tom. Obviously a tragic loss, and part of the reason that the Army is taking such special precautions to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. Tom.
Okay, Ryan Nobles for us tonight. Ryan, thank you. We're going to turn to some terrifying roadside moments. A shooting in Houston. Police say a gunman wielding a high-powered rifle shot at moving cars, injuring several people inside those unsuspecting vehicles. Jesse Kirsch has the alarming details.
Harrowing moments when gunshots rang out in Houston today.
He's shooting in the streets.
Watch the frantic scene as a Good Samaritan warns people to take cover.
Don't go that way, man.
Police say this gunman, armed with an automatic weapon, opened fire on multiple vehicles this morning.
There's been a bunch of shots fired.
The suspect, who police say is in his 30s, allegedly shooting 3 people, including a mother and her daughter. Police say officers ordered the suspect to drop his weapon.
The officers engaged with the suspect and discharged the weapons multiple times. The suspect was struck more than once, and he was transported to a local hospital.
Police say this was an isolated incident, adding they do not know what the suspect's mental state was during the attack.
Man, if you'd have seen it, you thought he was in a movie or something.
Sounds like it was incredibly dangerous out there. Jesse Kirsch joins us now, live from Miami, who's tracking this here from Miami. Jesse, any updates on the victims at this hour?
Yeah, and Tom, I was just checking again. So the latest we have from authorities is that the 3 victims are in stable condition. That is the last thing police told us. Meanwhile, as far as the suspect, what we have been told is very limited information. We know this is a man in his 30s. This is someone who himself was injured, according to police, but he has not been named and he has not yet been charged either, Tom.
Okay, Jesse Kirsch first tonight. Jesse, we thank you for that. We're following several developing weather headlines right now, including a powerful earthquake that just struck off the coast of Indonesia and that tropical storm taking aim at Hawaii that could get upgraded to a hurricane in just a matter of hours. Our Morgan Chesky is on the ground there as families prepare for a potentially historic landfall. And right now, catastrophic floods continue to ravage the Midwest, and we're just finding out these storms have turned deadly. Maggie Vespa reports from the storm zone in a moment, but we want to get right to meteorologist Bill Karen. So, Bill, this is a significant, I'm being told, 7.7 magnitude earthquake and pretty shallow.
Yeah, another big one. Of course, this is on the heels of the Colombia one and also the 8.0 that happened in Venezuela. So this is in Indonesia. And if you remember all the way back in 2004, we had a 9.1. It killed thousands of people, one of the worst tsunamis in recorded history. This, we just learned, did not produce a significant tsunami. So that's a sigh of relief for the area. It struck at 5 a.m. in the morning. But the shake magnitude of it being near the islands and population centers, there's significant damage from the shaking alone. So the tsunami part, we're happy about. That's good. That's good for areas in India. It's good for areas in Australia. But as far as the shaking went, this was a very shallow earthquake at only 6 miles, and it was about a 7.7, just to kind of give you a scale of what that even means. Here's in a typical year on our planet, the magnitude that we see. Usually we only get one that's an 8. Well, we just had that in Venezuela. We only typically get 18 in the entire globe that are a 7.0 to a 7.9. This was a 7.7 or 7.8, pretty high on this scale. So you see how rare it is and why it really got everyone's attention thinking, Tom, could we have a really powerful tsunami out of this, too? So we'll find out about the shaking. They estimate roughly 200,000 people were close enough for extreme shaking, and we're waiting to see how bad the structural damage is in those areas.
Okay, we're going to turn now, also sticking in the Pacific, though, hurricane warning for Hawaii as Tropical Storm Lala draws near. Do we still expect a historic landfall?
We are going to be watching what's happening as far as the tropical system goes. That is going to be happening as we go throughout the next 24 hours. So here's our Hawaiian Islands, 60-mile-per-hour winds. So it's a formidable tropical storm right now. It should get a little bit stronger. Now, if we get that direct landfall or not, really doesn't matter because the storm is big enough that most of the Hawaiian Island chains are going to go through the gusty winds and they're going to go through the rain. For the history books, it would be, if it does make landfall as a hurricane, the first time ever in the Big Island. It has been hit by 2 tropical storms. The red line here is the center line from the hurricane center. This is the cone of uncertainty, so it's getting more narrow now. So it looks like there's no way we're going to avoid, catastrophic rain. That looks pretty certain. Damaging wind looks pretty certain, too, with this. And, of course, we'll get those crashing waves on all the shores, too. The timing for Hawaii, it looks like to be sometime around 2 to maybe 4 in the afternoon tomorrow. That'll be when it makes its closest approach. And as far as the winds go, we kind of use this to say, like, power outages. If you're in this high-risk area, including all of the Big Island, be prepared to lose power from the storm. In Maui, moderate risk. Oahu, especially where Honolulu is located, you could see some gusts for some minor power outages also. But we're not expecting you to get the impacts that the Big Island will get. And if the big difference with this storm compared to, say, if a hurricane hits Florida or if it hits anywhere in the southeast, we don't have mountains in the southeast. You have to go down to the Caribbean islands to get those. But these volcanic peaks, they're as tall as the mountains in the Rockies. And when we get the rain hitting that, it just wrings it out. And that's why, Tom, we could see up to 25 inches of rain. That will cause extreme flooding, mudslides, rock slides. When the storm's all said and done, that'll be the legacy of just how bad all the flooding and mudslides and debris flows are.
Bill, we thank you for that. We're going to be covering this throughout the weekend, including right now. I want to bring in Morgan Chesky. He's in Hilo on the Big Island for us. Morgan, how are people on the ground getting prepared for the storm? And I'm already seeing headlines that the power companies in Hawaii are telling residents there if the power goes out, it could be days till it comes back on.
Tom, people here are taking this storm incredibly seriously because this could be, if it makes landfall here on the Big Island, the first recorded hurricane to do so. And that is why we have seen Hawaiians for the last 24 hours, if not longer, stock up on food, water, emergency supplies, generators included, because of those very power outages you mentioned. The concern here, Tom, not so much the storm surge as we sometimes see with other hurricanes, but it's just that incredible amount of rain falling in such a short amount of time. As we heard just a few moments ago, 25 inches in certain areas here could lead to devastating mudslides and flash floods. And this is an area here where people are very much cognizant of the power of Mother Nature here. And that's why no one is taking this storm lightly. All eyes on its anticipated landfall on the Big Island. But people also keeping a close eye on neighboring islands of Maui and Oahu as well here, Tom.
Yeah, and then while we have you there, parts of Hawaii are still recovering, as we've been talking about all night, from storms earlier this year. It's very easy to have a mudslide in Hawaii. Bill was talking about that as well. What else sort of are our residents worried about right now, Morgan?
Tom, they look back to February and March. They had a series of storms that they call Kona lows that were devastating, particularly to Oahu and Maui. Did an estimated $100 million worth of damage because of some mudslides, of some flash floods that damaged entire neighborhoods in that case. So to have people still recovering from that, and then to see the approach of this hurricane, on some level it's adding insult to injury, and that is why there is such a level of apprehension here, and no one is taking this storm lightly. You know, having covered hurricanes in the Gulf, you don't really see people change their behavior until maybe a Category 3, Category 4 hurricane. This is only approaching Category 1, and yet we are seeing a lot of preparation ahead of its arrival here, Tom.
Yeah, that's a bit of good news that people are taking it seriously. Morgan Chesky, be safe out there. We know you're going to be there for a few days. Also at this hour, there's a growing flood threat in the Midwest. Rivers already at dangerously high levels, still rising. Homes right in the danger zone. Maggie Vespa on the ground once again from Indiana. And Maggie, we're just hearing that a woman has died in the floods.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. Authorities in Delaware County, which is where Muncie is, and we know Muncie was hit so hard, say they found the body of a 58-year-old woman today near her car, meaning they believe both were swept away by floodwaters, and then they think that she tried to get out and swim and was ultimately overtaken by the current. They also found the body of her dog inside the car. So that obviously a devastating update to get. At the same time, authorities doing their best. If we can just push in on this boat right here, you see that rescue raft here in Anderson. In this flooded neighborhood, we have sheriff's deputies going door to door, checking on people, trying to make sure that the impacts of these floods are basically kept as limited as possible, knowing how devastating all of this has already been. Tonight, new rounds of heavy rain falling across an already soaked Midwest. In Champaign, Illinois, a woman stranded in her vehicle. This pair of firefighters carefully carrying her to safety. Wicked winds in Normal, Illinois overnight, causing this sheet of glass to shatter. The rain swelling record river levels even more.
It's heartbreaking.
Northeast of Indianapolis today, Christy Stewart and her family ventured into the flood zone. Her sister by kayak to check on Christy's house in Anderson. Christy's daughter filming this video, finding the first floor largely spared, but then showing us
Basement flooded.
Christy's on disability and doesn't have flood insurance.
All you can do is cry and pray.
It's a pretty helpless feeling.
Super.
She tells me the family evacuated overnight after smelling gas in the water. Meanwhile, state authorities say conditions in the raging Mississinewa River forced them to suspend the search for 19-year-old Matthew Morey, who jumped off a bridge into the water with friends Wednesday night. His mom in agony, saying the star high school wide receiver's just days away from starting his freshman year at Purdue University.
I see somewhere asking, where's my mom? My mom and dad. Like, I'm hurt and I need some help. And so we're not there and I can't get there.
A mother's desperate plea amid widespread devastation, with more rain in the coming days.
Maggie joins us once again. And Maggie, so much devastation. And now we're hearing hundred more homes could be flooded.
Yeah, Tom, up to 400 potentially, according to forecasters. So for context, this flooding is courtesy of the White River. It's a huge river. Obviously, it runs toward and past Indianapolis, and that's where a lot of this water is headed. Forecasters say that river in that part of the state, which is about an hour or so from here, that could reach near record or record levels there, flooding between 200 and 400 homes, basically by tomorrow morning. Tom.
Maggie Vespa and her team who have been there all week. Maggie, we thank you. Now to a major update on a story we brought you last night. President Trump dismissing concerns about poor living conditions on the USS Abraham Lincoln, describing the deployment of the aircraft carrier as, quote, not nearly long enough. Gabe Gutierrez has this one.
Tonight, President Trump dismissing reports of poor living conditions aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, a key aircraft carrier supporting the war against Iran.
Well, no, that ship is moving. No, they're not. That ship is moving right now, or very shortly.
The Pentagon now sending another carrier to the region after the more than 5,000 soldiers and Marines on the Lincoln had not made a port call since December, a record. Relatives had complained of plumbing issues and limited fresh food. A U.S. official says one sailor went overboard and was quickly rescued. The president pressed by NBC's Julie Sirkin.
No. Not nearly long enough.
Danielle Rappa's son is on board.
I do support the president overall, but, I have every right to disagree with a comment.
We'd spoken with Melanie Stowe yesterday.
It's been difficult.
Her daughter's been deployed since last year.
What do you make of those comments?
Well, I am a Trump supporter. I feel that it was more of a comment that the job hasn't been completed yet, more than the sailors need to stay out there longer.
She had a more pointed response for Defense Secretary Hegseth.
I would say that he should fly his butt out there to take a look.
Tonight, the Navy's acting secretary is calling those on the Lincoln the epitome of American strength, and he's slamming the media for trying to paint them as victims. Tom?
Okay, Gabe. Also tonight, President Trump is touting new crime stats from the FBI, showing the biggest one-year drop in violent crime since the Bureau started tracking the data nearly a century ago, from 2024 to 2025. Murder and manslaughter dropped by more than 18%. Rape offenses fell by an estimated 7.6%, and robberies were down 18.5%. We're going to be back in a moment here on Top Story with the new video of thieves rushing into an Italian museum, snatching millions of dollars worth of art, how police just got those paintings back. Plus, the dangerous wildfires raging in Europe, fast-moving flames closing in on popular resort towns, the race to get tourists out of the burn zone, and the potential disaster averted, 2 planes on a collision course flying with the same flight number, how they managed to touch down safely. That's ahead of Top Story. We're back with a stunning art heist in Italy. Tonight, police recovering 3 paintings worth millions after they were stolen earlier this year. The whole heist captured on video. Keir Simmons has this one for us.
The brazen art heist taking less than 3 minutes. Newly released surveillance video showing the moment thieves stole 3 paintings back in March. The thieves first breaking and entering through the front door of this museum in northern Italy in the middle of the night, then racing to grab the works by French masters straight off the walls. One masked individual setting down this Renoir, valued at about $3.5 million, to take a second painting by Cézanne, worth $7 million. Both paintings then handed off to an accomplice waiting outside. Tonight, officials from the Italian Art Recovery Squad announcing all 3 paintings have been safely recovered. Authorities telling Italy's leading news agency ANSA 5 suspects from Moldova have now been detained in connection with the robbery. Adding they tracked the gang down using clues recovered from the scene of the crime, including a fire extinguisher used as a diversion against the museum's caretaker. It's the latest in a series of high-profile art heists across Europe, including the theft of the French crown jewels stolen from the Louvre last year in broad daylight and still missing.
Keir Simmons joins us tonight. So, Keir, this isn't the only major art heist bust today. Police in Brazil recovering stolen Matisse paintings in a separate incident?
That's right, Tom. 8 paintings by Matisse recovered after they were stolen in Sao Paulo in Brazil, worth apparently almost $200,000. An extraordinary coincidence. What are the odds that this is announced today, the same day as that separate heist recovery of those paintings in Italy? It seems, Tom, as if these gangs are getting a taste for the best art in the world, Tom.
Might be right. All right. We thank you for that, Keir. Still ahead tonight, the stunning discovery overseas, millions of dollars worth of gold dug up at a construction site. So who gets to keep it? And the giant fireball lighting up the sky. We'll show you more of this video and what exactly it was. But first, top stories, top moment, and this one coming from a good friend of the show. Entertainment journalist Emily Orozco is expecting her first baby this October. And in honor of her grandma Rita's 93rd birthday today, she shared this video of the moment she told her the exciting news. Take a look.
Oh my God, are you telling me you're pregnant? Yeah. Oh my God. I'm actually going to have a great-grandchild. I can't believe it.
What an amazing surprise. This will officially make her a great-grandma. We're so happy for Emily and all of her family. Stay with us. More top story on the way. We're back now with Top Stories news feed, and we have an update on that special election in the UK. Nigel Farage officially heading back to the Parliament. The Reform Party leader beat a bunch of fringe candidates, including Count Binface, who you saw here on Top Story. We covered his story. The trash can wearing comic who grabbed more than a quarter of the vote, believe that. Major parties boycotted this election, calling it a stunt. Farage left his seat last month during an investigation into nearly $7 million in a gift from a crypto billionaire. He denied any wrongdoing. And construction workers in Belgium digging up quite the treasure on the job site. Look at this. According to local media, they were drilling to put in some new sewer pipes at a property when they stumbled across this hidden stash of gold coins and bars. It's reportedly worth more than $10 million. Police say the loot is now locked up in a government vault, but it's still unclear who will actually get to keep it. And a potential disaster averted after 2 American airline flights with the exact same call signs were approaching and leaving Phoenix at the same time. An air traffic controller noticed the flights were both numbered 2482 and acted quickly to tell each one where to go. Listen.
I've been working air traffic for 25 years. I've never seen 2 aircraft pretty much merge with the same call sign. That's pretty incredible. It could have been disastrous, but I'm glad it all worked out.
We are too. If both pilots were told to fly at the same altitude, it's possible they could have collided. The FAA is now investigating what went wrong and how that happened. In New York, a wild encounter with nature caught on video. Look at this chopper footage. It shows the whale swimming right up to a lifeguard boat. It breaches above the water. You see it right there, the back of it. Look how beautiful that is. The whale continued to surface several times after that, and thankfully, everyone seemed to be okay. And a huge fireball lighting up the skies out west. You can see the meteor here captured on a doorbell cam overnight. Experts say hundreds of people reported seeing that bright flash of light in states like Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and even in Colombia, good old British Columbia, Canada. Turning now to Top Stories Global Watch and those wildfires raging across Europe. Hundreds of people forced to evacuate from parts of Croatia and Greece as fast-moving flames bear down on popular tourist towns. A warning, some of the video you're about to see is graphic. Our Danielle Hamamjian is following it all. Danielle, what do you know?
Well, Tom, it's been one heat wave after another, followed by relentless wildfires that have engulfed so many parts of Europe this past summer. Just look at these latest pictures coming out of northern Greece. The sky turning black, just a wall of smoke filling the air as residents and tourists had to flee by air and by sea. Strong winds fanning the flames, burning houses and holiday apartments near resorts in Halkidiki in the middle of the holiday season. Hundreds had to be evacuated from what is normally, as you can imagine, a picturesque Greek peninsula. Over to Croatia now, and wildfires have also turned the night sky completely red. This is along the Dalmatian coast, very popular with tourists. Dozens have been injured, hundreds evacuated there as well, with local media reporting that a stretch of a major highway had to be shut because of the blaze. Firefighters in France and Germany also battling raging fires. Spain has also been hit particularly hard this season. Many have been killed over the course of the summer, even as they try to escape. Authorities there now have removed the remains of 3 11th century kings from a monastery threatened by a wildfire. And here in the UK, we've just seen the hottest day of the year, London hitting 100 degrees. Much of England now in drought. The grass everywhere you look is yellow, with the month of July having been the driest on record since records began back in 1836. Records broken just about everywhere in Europe this summer. Tom.
All right, Danielle Hamanjian, we thank you for that. Still coming up tonight, the new mystery vacation deal. Travelers rolling the dice on rock bottom prices, even though they have no idea where they're actually going. We speak with some willing to take that gamble. Plus, our great American this week, a park ranger at the Statue of Liberty. You'll hear his stories about the iconic symbol of freedom and what inspired him to serve his country. Stay with us. We're back now with the travel trend, inviting you to play roulette with your vacation. A viral Groupon deal promises a round-trip flight and hotel stay for as little as $200. But here's the catch. You have no idea where you're going until after you've paid. Our Ryan Chandler spoke to some buyers who scored their dream trips and others who weren't so lucky.
It's the ultimate travel gamble.
We're going to Greece.
You pick your departure airport and some rough dates. Shell out as little as $200.
Drum roll. Your girl is going to New Orleans.
And 72 hours later, a stranger reveals your destination.
Anywhere but Florida, please.
Those willing to play vacation roulette and buy Groupon's mystery getaway could score a trip to faraway places like Singapore, Greece, or Hawaii.
7 days in Portugal, and this was only $2.99 per person.
Or they could land on a Frontier flight to Phoenix.
He was like, you can go to Arizona.
Mystery Vacations, the company that partners with Groupon to run these trips, told NBC News they've sold close to $2 million worth in the past month. Americans are eager for a deal, with airfares up roughly 25% compared to last year.
Like, is this real?
Orlando-based Melinda and Joey Lemond are headed to Paris and London for 7 nights.
We're still hearing the words that we're going to get to go to London and Paris and stuff, but we're still like, where's the catch? Where's the catch? You know, for $200 a piece, this is crazy.
And Chicago-based Kristen Lamps won a trip to Puerto Rico.
The fact that I got like the bigger one was, I was like, oh my God, I never won anything. So I was super excited about that.
But not everyone got so lucky.
They're making money off of people.
LA-based Kimber Bowman says her experience left her feeling like the whole thing was a scam, and she didn't even end up taking her trip.
It was not a value at all, because when I actually went back to look up the cost of what I purchased, it's Frontier in Arizona in August, 105-degree average temperature. Of course, your flight is $66, right? That makes sense. But then the hotel, $70 a night. It would have been cheaper for me to book it on my own.
Groupon tells us out of every 2,000 vouchers, 6 are for 7 nights in Europe or Asia, while over 99% are for 2-night stays in the U.S. They say, we print that number so nobody buys a fantasy.
We want to do everything right to manage expectations. Whenever we do get a complaint, we do try to resolve it.
But despite some bad experiences, travel agent Tammy Wells said the promise of any adventure with minimal planning was enough to convince her to book the package twice.
They're definitely not a scam. You just have to set your expectations realistically of what you're getting.
So as Americans hunt for those golden travel deals, many are happy to test their luck and see where it lands.
We are in really difficult financial times, so the promise of maybe getting that lucky strike, it sounds good.
Ryan Chandler joins us now. So, Ryan, let's talk specifics. So if you buy this deal and have buyer's remorse, you can't get a refund.
No, Tom, no refunds at the slot machine and no refunds with mystery travel. You pay around $200 to $300 for this service, and I presume the way they make money is that a lot of people just get a trip that costs less than that, and then they pocket the difference. You can get a refund if you request your money back before you give them your dates and the departure airport and they really start to plan, but that would be well before you ever learn what your destination was going to be.
Yeah, and then while we have you here, this Groupon deal has really taken off because of social media, but it's not the only company offering experiences like this.
So I was able to find a couple other companies offering mystery travel. And if you're not into the whole lottery aspect of the Groupon package, one that you should look into is called Pack Up and Go. This is a more concierge upscale service where they ask you what you're interested in, what your budget is, and then they put together a plan and surprise you. But it's more likely to be something you'd like. There's another one called Journey. Their whole shtick is you don't learn where you're going until you get to the airport, Tom.
That sounds like a lot of fun. All right, Ryan, we thank you for that. Now to our series, Great Americans, where we talk to people who have achieved so much about their life and this country. Tonight, we head to an iconic symbol of America, the Statue of Liberty, a beacon of hope for millions who immigrated to this country. Our Great American this week, the man helping to preserve the history of Lady Liberty, Park Ranger Rennell Langdon.
What I love about America is the opportunity. This is a place where you can come, and if you're willing to work, I think the sky's the limit.
It's one of America's most iconic landmarks, Lady Liberty, shining over New York's harbor, a poignant reminder of the promise that built America. It's a view Park Ranger Rennell Langdon says never gets old.
I mean, working at the Statue of Liberty, it's pretty incredible. You know, sailing in on a ferry every morning and seeing the Statue of Liberty, I kind of pinch myself every day.
Langdon immigrated to America from Grenada in 2000, arriving in New York City as a teenager. Then, about a year later, the September 11th attacks would change him and the country forever.
On 9/11, I was in the city. When we went outside, it was just complete chaos and panic. And it really kind of set in that I needed to do something. I needed to serve. That day absolutely changed my life.
Inspired to help protect his new home, Langdon enlisted in the Coast Guard. 4 years later, after finishing his service, Langdon returned to New York, searching for ways to continue giving back to America.
Applying for every federal job I think I qualified for, and the Park Service was the first to give me a chance. So I felt the Park Service in a way sort of chose me.
He started on the ground at Liberty Island, climbing from maintenance worker to park ranger, and now supervisor.
When I put on this uniform, I feel like I'm part of something greater. There are a lot of passionate, dedicated people who's put on this uniform before me. I'm so privileged to have landed in this position.
Langdon also oversees Ellis Island, where more than 12 million people from all over the world entered this country. An immigrant himself, now telling their stories.
I find it absolutely poetic that I'm here telling the story of millions of people before me. I feel quite privileged being able to work here and help keep that history alive.
Welcome to Statue of Liberty, folks.
For Ranger Langdon, the Statue of Liberty is more than just a landmark. It's a reminder of our responsibility as Americans.
When visitors come here, I hope they feel inspired. I hope they see themselves in her story. And if you look at her, she's obviously not sitting on her pedestal. I like to think that she's taking a step forward. We're standing here on this pedestal of freedom. But like the Statue of Liberty, it's not enough to just sit or stand, but that each of us have a responsibility to move liberty forward. It's something that we all have to participate in.
A beacon of hope, lighting the way for the future of our great nation.
When you look across the harbor, and as long as you see that torch up there and you see the statue standing, I think there's hope for America. I think we find that inspiring.
We all find that inspiring. All right, this week's Great American, Rennell Langdon. All right, that does it for us. Thanks so much for watching Top Story. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way. We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.